The second type of unemployment is called the structural unemployment. The definition for the structural unemployment is as follows. We say it is created by changes in the technology and foreign competition that changes the skill needed to perform job or the location of job. Will this type of unemployment be unavoidable? The answer is yes. That is because the economy has been keep on facing a rapid structural transformation. The economy switched from the agricultural economy to the non-agricultural economy. The economy switched from the industrial-based economy to a service-based economy. So for such kind of the structural transformation, it occurs for all the economies. Because of that, the structural unemployment will exist anyhow, as long as the economy keep on have certain changes. For this type of the unemployment, it is with longer term and is chronic, and that is because compared with the frictional unemployment, which is caused by it takes time to search for job and to match the right person for the job, the structural unemployment is caused by changes in the economy, because the economy faces the transition, and then so when people want to move to get a new technology, or when they want to move to a new location for the job, then the transition will take longer time. Therefore, we say the structural unemployment takes longer time than the frictional unemployment. And this kind of unemployment exists even though the economy is not in recession. So then what could be the causes of the structural unemployment? The first cause is that lack of skills prevents some workers from finding a long-term employment. For example, languages, education, or programming techniques. For example, by the time that the Japanese turn over Taiwan back to China, then by then, for people, the elites knows Japanese but do not know Chinese. And for those elites, they no longer can find a job because they are not able to speak the language that is allowed by them. So then, for those group of people that given the transition, they lack the language skills to get a job, then they will become unemployed. And those type of unemployment is classified as the structural unemployment. The second causes of the structural unemployment is that for workers that working in the shrinking sector, for example, in Taiwan in the 1960s and 70s, that there are many companies that are making clothes. When the workers working in those industries, they know the technique for how to make a good cloth. But then several years after, in the 1990s, then a lot of the textile industry got shut down, and then they relocated to abroad. In that case, those group of people will then lose the job because the textile industry got shrink in Taiwan by then. Because of that, for those group of people, it takes time for them to learn the new skills to work in a new sector, or they need to move to the new region. For example, if the textile manufacturer move to Vietnam or move to China, then they need to move to those locations as well. So then under that case, it causes the structural unemployment in Taiwan. The last possible cause of the structural unemployment is the wage rigidity. That is when there is a minimum wage law, or there is the existence of the efficiency wage theory, or the existence of the labor union. All of them may cause the structural unemployment, and I will explain why in detail in the following slides. So the first causes of the wage rigidity is the minimum wage law. And in fact, the minimum wage law does not necessarily causes the unemployment. So let's take a look at the graph about why that is the case. So in this graph, you will see that the vertical axis shows the real wages, and the horizontal axis shows the quantity of labor supply and the labor demand. We have the labor supply curve and the labor demand curve. And we know that the equilibrium price, or the labor market clearing wages, is the real wages over P with a star. when the minimum wage set is greater than the market clearing wage, it will cause the supply of the labor greater than the quantity of labor demanded given this wage level. Therefore, we are going to have unemployment under this case. And this is the scenario that the minimum wage law will cause unemployment. However, on the contrary, if we look at another case that the minimum wage law somehow sets the minimum wage that is lower than the market clearing wage, in that case, at this particular minimum wage level, the quantity of labor demanded, in fact, is greater than the quantity of labor supplied. Then because of that, this minimum wage law will not be effective in affecting the labor market equilibrium. So then in conclusion, if the minimum wage is below the market clearing wage, the law is not affecting the equilibrium. However, if the minimum wage is above the market clearing wage, then the law will affect the equilibrium and then causes unemployment. So then now we want to talk about the second possible cause of the wage rigidity, which is called the efficiency wage theory. So the belief of this theory is that the firm believes higher wages will induce workers to be more productive. Because of that, the firms believe that they are going to be more efficient if they pay workers a higher wages. Then the firm will pay the employee the wage rate that is higher than the market clearing wage. Then if all the firms are thinking about the same thing, then eventually for the whole economy, the wage rate paid will be higher than the market clearing wage. Then because of that, it will cause the unemployment. So then the next question that we want to ask is why paying higher wages will result in more productive workforce? Here are a couple reasons. The first reason is called the nutrition reason. It is believed that the healthier worker will have less sick leave, especially for the underdeveloped countries. Imagine that if all the workers are so poor such that they are not going to eat breakfast in the morning and they probably only eat a piece of bread for lunch and dinner. In that case, the workers will be very hungry most of the time and their brain probably cannot function so well because they are lack of the nutrition. So in that case, for the nutrition reasons, we believe that when the firm pays the higher wages such that it will be able to provide better nutrition to the workers, then it will be able to result in more productive workforce. The second reason why when paying higher wages will result in more productive workforce is because when the firm pays high wages, it will reduce the turnover rate. That is because if you are working in a company that pay you the wage rate that is higher than the market clearing wage, so you probably will be very happy working in this company, and then you will be reluctant to change job. When you are reluctant to leave, then company will be able to reduce the labor turnover rate because most people will stay there for a long time. They do not need to keep on looking for the employees. So in that case, the experience will be able to accumulate it. Therefore, the workforce can be more productive. The third reason is about adverse selection. So this is related to the game theory you learned before. When there exists information asymmetry between the employee and the employers, the employer in fact do not know the true ability of the employee. So that in that case, if the firms pays higher wages than the market clearing wage, they are being able to attract the talent that with higher ability to come and look for a job. Of course, that the people with less talent will also come to look for a job because you pay higher wages. But then you can go through the interview process and find the right person. If you pay low wages, then those people with high talent will say, hey, the wage rate is way too low. I want to look for the other job. I don't want to get this job. So then with the problem of information asymmetry and due to the effect of adverse selection, paying higher wages will allow firms to find more productive workers. That is why the firms are willing to pay higher wages. Finally, about the moral hazard, it is again related to game theory. So when the employees are working, in fact, the employers do not know how hard the employee is working. So then if you want to monitor the productivity of the labor force, then you probably need to have someone monitoring your employee and see whether or not he or she is working. In order to resolve this issue, if you pay higher wages, the employee knows that if they shirk or they choose not to work hard, then they will be fired once it is caught. If they know that risk, then they will have the motive to work hard without monitoring. Therefore, we say that when the firms are paying higher wages, they are going to resulting in more productive workforce is because they will save the monitoring cost, and then people have the motive to work hard. So then when they pay high wages, they are going to have a more productive labor force. So these are the couple of reasons explaining why the efficiency wage theory may hold in reality. So the third cause of the wage rigidity is the labor union. When there is labor union, then people inside the labor union will prefer their wage rate to be higher than the market clearing wage. However, for the people that outside the labor union, given that they do not have the job, so then they will prefer the wage to be lower such that the firm are willing to hire more workers. Because of that, there is a conflict interest inside and outside the labor union. But if the labor union force is strong, then they will force the employer to pay higher wages. In that case, the high wages will causes the labor supply greater than the labor demand and then causes the unemployment. So these are the related discussion related to the causes of the wage rigidity, which will causes the structural unemployment.